Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi, everyone. This is Tammy Patzer, and I'm excited because today I'm going to be speaking about real estate with Brandy Nelson. As a team leader of Nelson McNew Associates, Brandy is a broker associate with Windermere Homes and Estates and Windermere Commercial. As a consistent top producer, Brandy's business consists of residential real estate, bank-owned properties, commercial sales, and commercial leases, successfully selling more than 1,800 transactions since being licensed in 2005. Brandy has earned the distinctive titles of Executive Premier Director of REO and Foreclosures, as well as the Executive Director for Commercial Properties and the Premier Director of Premier Properties Luxury Division. With diversified clients, including corporations, financial institutions, distressed sellers, and motivated buyers and sellers, Brandy and her dynamic team are able to provide solutions to difficult situations. And Brandy has earned multiple high-level recognitions for serving on many real estate boards, including on the Women's Council of Realtors and others. And she's also been recognized in the national top 50 for number of real estate closed transactions. So with that background, welcome, Brandy.
Thank you so much, Tamara, for having me today.
Your background is very impressive, and one of the reasons why I'm wanting to talk to you is because of your background with real estate owned or foreclosure properties in the default industry. So because of the fact that we're in this, let's just say, historical time when it comes to real estate, we have very low interest rates, and I understand it's a seller's market. So tell me more about what is going on in the real estate market today that makes it so unique.
Sure. So I am located in Coachella Valley, which is near Palm Springs, California. So we cover that area here in Southern California. We are definitely in a seller's market. And one of the reasons why is we have extremely low inventory. So historically, we have the lowest amount of homes for sale, and it's a hot market. So we have a lot of people coming from out of areas. So we have a lot of people coming from Washington State, the Bay Area, Northern California, Oregon, etc. So a lot of people are coming here to the Valley. We have not a huge population, etc. So a lot of people are getting Airbnb homes, short-term rentals. So just a lot of people coming into the market.
So what makes it a seller's market? You said that, I guess you said low inventory. Why are all these people coming to your location?
I think because our prices, for one, our prices are much lower than you would get in other areas in Southern California. So I just listed 2 bank-owned properties in Yucca Valley. We listed one for $190,000 and another one for $265,000. They both come with almost over 2 acres of land. That's not something you could get in these other areas. And so obviously, even with those, I listed one on Thursday. I listed the other one on Friday. We had multiple offers, and prices, the offers are going over $120,000 over asking. So it's pretty crazy right now. And the reason why it's called the seller's market is obviously when you have such a low amount of inventory, sellers could basically put their property on the market and get what they're asking for. So that's why they call it a seller's market. If we had more inventory, it'd be easier for the buyers than be buyer's market. But right now we're in a seller's market.
So do you think that this seller's market is also a product of the pandemic, or do you think it would have been like that even if we hadn't been in a pandemic situation?
That's hard to say, but definitely we have a low amount of inventory, and we've had a low amount of inventory for a while. If there hasn't been any foreclosures coming through, there also hasn't been any evictions. We have an eviction moratorium and a foreclosure moratorium. So there's a lot of properties that have not hit the market. We have a lot of sellers that don't want to sell right now because they're worried about selling. We're in the middle of a pandemic. They don't want to get sick. They don't want to have people coming through their house. So I think there's a lot of reasons that sellers have chosen not to put their properties on the market. We still have tons of buyers coming through, buyers that are needing to buy, ready to buy. Not all of these people coming through are investors. They are buyers, and they're looking for a home, and they keep getting bid out. So when you have multiple offers, they keep getting bid out on all these properties. And so they're needing a home to buy. Some people are buying second homes. Some people are buying short term. Some people need to be closer to their family. A lot of people need larger homes. You're now stuck at home with having kids doing schooling on home. So you need a lot more room. So there's a lot of reasons why there's a lot of buyers and we have such low inventory. It's hard for everyone to get a property right now.
That is interesting when you think about it, that families just need more room because they have more people actually living in the house all the time. And people can home.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. So a lot of people are working from home and they need more room. So especially if you have a husband and wife both working at home, you can't both work in the same office. You've got kids doing school. So we need a lot more room to spread out. And kids need more room to play because now they're not able to go out with friends or go to the park or whatever. So that is a huge thing right now.
Wow. And like you said, the properties that you have, the two that you just mentioned, both had 2 acres or acreage. So that would be really nice. You said something that I wanted to expand on related to the foreclosure moratoriums and what is it? Rental moratorium and then also the foreclosure. How do you think that's going to affect the future market? I mean, if you were to, get out the crystal ball, just based on your real estate knowledge, what do you think you're going to be seeing a year from now, 2 years, 3 years from now, related to these foreclosures once the moratoriums are lifted?
So there's obviously a lot of opinions going around and nobody knows for sure. No one has that crystal ball. But as of right now, the eviction moratorium and foreclosure moratorium was due to end January 31st. It looks like now it is going to be extended. Looks like it might be extended till September. Might be extended till the end of the year. So there's a lot of that still happening. I feel that obviously landlords, that's hard on landlords because with the eviction moratorium, now that's being even extended more. And they're going to have to figure out things that landlords could do because they're not going to be able to remove tenants that are not paying or helping out as they should. So I think there's a lot of things that are going to be happening. Obviously, people still need to sell. So our market is still, interest rates are low. Inventory is low. People still need to sell their houses. People are still moving. So real estate is still going to happen. I just think in the future, we're obviously going to have a lot more homes come into the market after the foreclosure and eviction moratorium has lifted.
So right now, you work with all kinds of properties. You have the REO properties, you have the commercial, and then you also have the luxury division. Of all of the homes that are on the market, is there any subset of homes that seem to be moving faster, or is it just everything that comes on the market?
Truly, right now, it seems just about everything, but it is properties that are in the mid-range that people could afford. So it's affordable housing that is really having the high. So anything in our market, it's really anything under 800,000 is getting multiple offers. Even, but we do have markets even over 800,000 that's going as well. But so really, it's just kind of any homes that are going right now. Palm Springs is a very popular area. So obviously we have a lot of people coming in wanting Palm Springs. Those will have higher price points, and even they are having multiple offers on higher price points. So it's hard to say everything, but what's sitting is really land. Land is not selling, obviously, a lot right now, and that's because with COVID, we don't have financing as we used to with land. We don't have financing on commercial like we used to. So in the commercial sector, we obviously have a lot of buildings that are going to be vacant and for sale, but without financing, it is very difficult for people to buy. Now we still have SBA financing, so it's still a good option for people to use, but it's a little bit more difficult to buy commercial properties and land right now.
Oh, so SBA, that's Small Business Administration.
Correct.
Vacant land, just because you'd have to somehow connect it for, I guess, value purposes. Mm-hmm. For the different groups of people, so let's say you have, obviously it's a good time to sell because it's a seller's market. As for a buyer, a lot of people, let's say that they want to buy, should they be afraid and jump in and buy anything they can get their hands on now? Or could they wait? And then, of course, should investors be trying to buy up now, or should they wait? What's your opinion on that?
It depends. I think investors, it's hard right now because investors have a certain formula, a certain model that they're looking for. And that model is hard if they're wanting to come in, buy a property and flip that property. So to flip, the margins might not be there. So they definitely need to look to see if the margins are going to work and their numbers are going to work before they go into that investment. But if you have other investors that are just looking for buy and holds, it might work fine for them because now they want to buy a property and keep that tenant. And so now they have a tenant that's going to stay in and they're getting income each month. So it really depends on what their end use is going to be. So for investors, it depends on what kind of investor you are. For buyers, really, buyers need to buy. They need to find a home. So it's really finding the right one, but don't get into the struggle of just because it has multiple offers, you want to give the highest price. Make sure it's the house that you want to stay in. This is the house for you, and make sure the numbers work. So that would be my advice on that. I think people get into a bidding frenzy and they just throw out numbers, and then they kind of, once they get into it, they kind of get this little buyer remorse. So I would just say, definitely make sure it's the right home for you before getting into a bidding war.
So I wanted to go backwards a little bit, just because I'm really curious about the foreclosures and all of these moratoriums. So let's say the moratoriums last through the end of 2021. How long does it typically take a market to adjust? Like once those moratoriums are reversed, will we see like something like we saw back in 2007, 2008, or is this a totally different scenario than what happened when we had the last market downturn?
In my opinion, it is a totally different scenario. We've never been in this type of situation. So with this pandemic, we are in a completely different situation than we were in 2007, 2008. A lot of people do have equity in their homes. So that is a difference as well. And when you talk about adjusting, nothing is going to be quick, because obviously, even if they lifted foreclosure and eviction moratorium today, you still have everyone that has been backed up in the court system. So you got to remember, all the people that actually filed for evictions back in March have been on hold. So now you have all the backlog of everyone else before the new evictions, foreclosures, etc. So it's not anything that's going to flood the market as soon as these get lifted. It's not going to be like that. But at the same time, when that does end, there are going to be more foreclosures happening. There will be evictions happening. There are a lot of sellers right now that can't sell their home because they have tenants inside the home, and the tenants maybe are not cooperating or allowing showings, or not paying their rent, and no one wants to be able to take over a tenant that's not paying, knowing that they will not be able to evict that tenant for not paying. So I think there is a lot of people on hold right now. And when that gets lifted, there will be more homes on the market, but I do not think it'll be like 2007 or 2008. But I do think we were going to have a lot more people that will need short sales. They will be in a distressed situation and will need help. And so they'll need to turn to someone like myself and other distressed people who their expertise is in distressed properties to help them, because they'll need to do a short sale or modification or before they lose their home. So I think there will be a lot more people in that situation, especially if they haven't been paying their mortgage or been paying their rent. So I think there's a lot of that going to be happening.
So if you had advice for people they have this opportunity to, where the banks are actually working with them right now, where they might not have to pay their mortgage for a while, but they do have money coming in, what would your advice be to them to avoid getting themselves in trouble in the future?
I think the big thing is to understand. So understand what a forbearance actually means, understand what situation they're in, and reach out to an agent. So if you don't understand, reach out to someone who does. So reach out to an agent in your market that specializes in this, and we could let them know what the implications are for having forbearance and for how long. There's right now, if you have a forbearance, you're not able to refinance your house because you haven't been paying your mortgage. So there's a lot of things that people don't understand with forbearances. And as long as they completely understand, then have a forbearance, no problem. But just understand what it is. And before you get into trouble, reach out to an agent and see what you could do before just letting your house go. There's a lot of other options that we could talk to you about.
Well, that's really good advice, because I do remember in 2007 and 2008, people literally just left.
Correct.
Thinking that was their only option. And then, of course, they lost everything that they had invested. So that is really good advice, to reach out to somebody who's knowledgeable. So I understand that you're a member of the Default Industries Leader group, and you're participating in a book. Why did you decide to participate in this book project with other default industry leaders?
I think it was an exciting thing that we've talked about. And I think most REO agents, we always say that we're going to write a book one day of all of our adventures and everything that we have done. And so we got together and decided to write a book. Each one of us wrote a chapter. And I think it's an exciting project. It's going to be coming out soon. And I think it's a good read for people to understand what an REO agent actually is, and what we do, and what working in the stress field. I just don't think there's a lot of talk about it, so people don't quite understand how all that works. So I think it's great that it's coming out now.
Good. Well, it sounds like, again, default industry, a lot of people are like, what's that? And
Correct.
so I know that it will include some fun. I call it edutainment, because people will get educated about the real estate market and default industry. And then, of course, they'll be entertained too. So if there's anything that you can think of that people should be thinking about right now as we move into 2021, what would your best advice be for anyone who's thinking about either selling or buying their property, or a property?
I think reach out to an agent in your market. Reach out to a local agent that could explain the process. So explain how it's going to work, right now during COVID. Things have changed on how we show properties, on how the process is. So reach out to an agent who can sit down and explain how everything is going to work and what is going to happen during the process and how we're going to show your property and how we're going to show it safely and how it's going to be safe for people to walk through. As a buyer, it's very important to have those same conversations with your agent. How, let's be realistic. How is the market happening? How are we going to find a home? And is it going to be the first offer that we like that we're going to get? Probably not. So it's very important for you to understand how the process is going to work, how we're going to find you the home, what happens when we find the home, how does it go through the process. So I think it's important to understand all that.
It's interesting to me because as I'm listening to you speak, there's so many steps involved. And I think you said it like, so many people, they go out and they find the house, the home, and then they put their offer in, and then guess what? Somebody else wants that house too. And so their offer gets rejected. How long would you say that the process will take when you start house hunting? And what is the most important thing that you should have in place before you even attempt to go find a house?
So as a buyer, obviously reach out to an agent to understand the process, but you also need to have how you're going to pay for the home. So if you're a buyer that's getting a loan, you need to be prepared to have that letter that day, because we obviously cannot write an offer. We shouldn't even be going into homes, showing you homes without having that pre-qual letter. If you're paying cash, make sure you're having proof of funds. If you're getting proof of funds, where are you getting your proof of funds from? If you're getting it from your IRA or the bank or your CPA, just know where those funds are coming from so you're prepared to show where you're getting those funds from. And are they going to be liquid funds? Talk to your agent and understand where. When people call, some people don't know what they want yet. That's fine. That's what the process is for. But get that knowledge to your agent to know, where should we be looking for? What is the best qualities that you're looking for? What areas? Are you looking in a golf course community? Is it a 55 and older community? Just understand what you're looking for so they could find you the right home, and know that it might take you a few homes before you get the one that you're looking for, because you do get bid out on multiple offers. So be prepared when you find that house to have a strong offer that's fully, everything is in, your pre-qual, everything is ready to go.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And what's really dawning on me is it's not a process that you just go say, yeah, I've got the money, and go look at houses and write up offers and somebody says yes. There's a lot more to that. So if somebody wants to reach out to you and get more information, what's the best way to do that?
So they could either go onto my website, which is www.brandynelson.com, and Brandy is spelled with a Y. So go right on my website, or you could give us a call, 760-238-0552. We do have a whole team that's here in the Valley, and we do everything from traditional real estate to distressed and commercial real estate.
Well, I really enjoyed talking to you, and you really opened my eyes to how different real estate is across the nation, but at the same time, how similar it is. Sure. Because obviously the main thing is to work with somebody who's a professional, who knows what's going on in their market, because that seems to be the common thread, is that if you work with a professional who's done all the work and educated themselves in that area, they're going to be able to help you. So I really appreciate that. Before I let you go, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I would just say, people ask all the time, is it the right time to buy? And it's really what you're looking for right now. So Are there properties to buy right now? Yes. Are we in multiple offer situations? Yes. But if you find the right property, then, it's a good time to buy. If you're a seller, it's definitely a good time to sell because we're definitely in a seller's market right now. So it just depends on what works best. And that's why it's best to reach out to an agent so they can understand your needs. Is it the right time to sell? Is it the right time to buy? And it depends on your needs as a buyer, your needs as a seller.
Well, thank you, everyone. We've been speaking with Brandy Nelson. This is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.